Everything is sexist.
So you're probably wondering, what's with the Tide in my lap with the straw in it? Well, I'll tell you. Unlike Chris Reagan, I don't have any bleach. My production quality is a little bit shitty, okay? Don't judge me. So I'll just have to make do with Tide. Laundry detergent. After all, cleaning supplies is cleaning supplies is cleaning supplies, right? Of course I'm right. I'm a woman. I'm right about everything. Especially cleaning supplies. You'd think that that'd be a no-brainer for people. But no, they're all like, but my gender roles are a social construct. Gender roles are a social construct like tomatoes are a fruit. But tomatoes are a fruit. Shut up, you're confusing the audience with your womanly wiles. Isn't your fake mustache and real boobs doing just that, though? Go make me a sandwich. And I should really go see some sort of professional because that was horrible for an opening sketch. Except that, how else am I going to lighten the mood for an audience that's about to take a dive into a very depressing rabbit hole of sadness and cockamamie, if not by making light of botched laundry detergent suicide attempts? And self-deprecating sexist humor. By the way, I can joke about both of those things, you know, sexism and laundry detergent-related suicide attempts, because I'm a woman. Someone should really tell Chris Reagan his jokes are oppressive. Oh wait, the internet already did that this week. Now, on with the article. That will make you want to pull out a bottle of Tide and join me in my journey to the underworld. Strap in, the story is long as fuck, and so is my commentary, so get over it. Even breathing it doesn't taste very good.
Biological dad cut out of life of child produced during affair.
Fucking how?
A man who may have contributed his DNA to a child has no statutory or constitutional right. Judge.
Fucking what?
When Christopher Farrell learned his girlfriend was pregnant, he was ecstatic. He painted the walls of a bedroom in his Loxahatch house blue and filled them with lovable characters from the Disney classic, The Lion King.
He sounds like a fantastic man so far. I wonder what masculine sin he committed to lose the ability to be in his child's life. Just curious. What happened? What went down?
Weeks before his son's August 2015 birth, he summoned his family to a baby shower to have them celebrate his good fortune. His girlfriend, who was at the top of the guest list, never showed up. Inexplicably, she didn't return his phone calls or texts.
Well, she certainly sounds like a bitch. When your baby daddy throws a baby shower willingly, why would you skip out on that? How many baby daddies do that? You got yourself a good baby daddy. You keep that baby daddy on speed dial. You feel?
While Farrell didn't know it at the time, it marked the end of his hopes of experiencing the joys of fatherhood.
This requires some ominous noises.
Even though there is no question that Farrell is the child's biological father, he has no right to see him, talk to him, support him, or help raise him.
What? I mean, talk about an attack on rights, boy! Even a genetic claim does jack diddly squat for the guy. What in the hell? Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. What if the man did something egregious and the author of the story is giving us the old classic build-up and shocker? We'll give it a minute.
Because Farrell's girlfriend was married to another man when the boy was born, and the couple wants to raise the child together. By law, Farrell has no claim to him.
I will flip my chair again. Boy, you said what?
If the child is born in an intact marriage, and if the husband and mother want to remain married, the biological father has zero rights, said Orlando family law attorney Susan Savard.
This is some bullshit if I've ever read it. What douche canoe decided that that law needed to be written?
It's well-settled law, said Alicia Roy, a West Palm Beach family law attorney. It might seem quaint to quibble about out-of-wedlock births in 2017, when divorce is common. 40% of children are born to single mothers, and the country has embraced various non-traditional families, including those headed by unmarried, transgender, and gay couples. But, antiquated or not, Florida law is steeped in the notion that no child should suffer the stigma of illegitimacy, she said.
Okay, and what's wrong with illegitimacy? Nothing in this day and age, technically. Okay? Okay. If you want to get picky, the nuclear family model is actually the most ideal one. I actually wrote a paper on the effects of divorce on children that covered the nuclear family model, as well as the other family models. I might turn it into a video actually someday, but in all, there are some Things that you should know. The perfect family, quote unquote, isn't always synonymous or necessarily reserved for people who go by the standard nuclear family model. When you have a nuclear family, so a mom, a dad, and whatever number of kids, you're not gonna always wind up with most ideal family. Sometimes it doesn't work out, obviously. Not all the time, but sometimes. And sometimes people have to get divorced, or people have family members that leave, or people have to live with their grandparents. Whatever works is whatever works. Honestly, I take what I can get. If people want to have babies out of wedlock, they can go ahead, and if the baby daddy wants to be in the child's life, who are we to say no to that, when it's kind of a common thing that the baby daddy steps out on his kids and has nothing to do with them in, contemporary culture. I mean, that is the stereotype after all, so why not go against the grain? Make it not a thing. I don't know, set a different precedent. This is some, honestly, back-ass words thinking. No doubt.
The big issue, the underlying theme in Florida, is about a child's right to legitimacy, so no one should be able to come in and disrupt the sanctity of the marriage, Roy said.
I could make the argument that this law that protects legitimacy is more for the couples who have some serious marital issues than it is about the child that was produced because of those marital issues. But this video isn't about crappy couples being crappy couples. It's about crappy moms taking advantage of crappy laws to do crappy things to their baby daddies.
It's not the dad's right to be a dad, it's the child's right to have legitimacy. Recognizing the steep hurdle she faced, Fort Lauderdale attorney Rebecca Brown Wiseman agreed to help Farrell, 31, challenge the law that many other family law attorneys and even some judges agree should be tweaked. It's a decision that could end up costing her dearly. In court hearings in 2016, she tried to persuade Palm Beach County Circuit Judge Karen Miller that times have changed since the Florida Supreme Court. In 1993, established rules that prevented biological dads from having any relationship with their children if the mother and her husband don't want it.
I think that the fact that this is an actual law says something about the frequency of Florida women having kids out of wedlock, but hey, whatever, I don't judge. Except if you're the type of bitch that denies their kid the right to their biological father and the biological father the right to their kid. Then I judge.
Calling a psychologist to testify, Brown Wiseman argued that studies have shown that being raised in a two-parent, two-gender household isn't a magic formula for producing a happy, well-adjusted child.
Now, she's not wrong. The nuclear family model isn't always perfect. As I said before, it is most ideal, but it doesn't always work out, and that's okay. I mean, both my parents tried to two-parent, two-gender household formula twice, in fact. Each of them tried it twice. Once with each other and once with someone else. And it didn't work out well for them either time. But I did end up with 2 mother figures and 2 father figures, and I'm well adjusted, depending on who you ask.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping.
More or less. Yeah.
The more people you have that will love and take care for a child, the better it is for the child. Jan Faust, a clinical psychologist and a professor at Nova Southeastern University, testified. It's the relationship that's most important. I mean, young children, don't even know what marriage means for many years, and they just know that they're loved by multiple people.
Exactly. What does a child really know of the words like legitimacy and illegitimacy, marriage and separated, and whatever, in their early years? To answer the question, nothing. Those words mean nothing to them until you give those words definition through your action. Children are like sponges. They pick up on things that are visually displayed to them as well as auditorily and the like. They pick up on that stuff with high frequency. So if you're in a civil co-parenting partnership with your child's father and vice versa, the child will pick up on that. If you're not, or even if the relationship is non-existent, then they will most definitely pick up on that. It's all a matter of swallowing your pride and your prejudices. Love that book. And doing what you need to do to be the most fitting example for the kid. Nothing more, nothing less. And if you're being a dick to your baby's daddy, that's certainly not the best example to be setting for that kid. Just so you know.
Further, Brown Wiseman argued the relationship between Farrell and his girlfriend was a close one. They worked together at an auto parts store and lived together for roughly 6 months after she became disillusioned with her marriage. The post isn't identifying the girlfriend or husband to protect the identity of the child.
So another thing. This woman and her husband were having marital trouble so serious that they were estranged from each other for a good 6 months, long enough for her to move in with her baby's father and then get pregnant with said baby. Given the history of this couple, to me that doesn't seem like even a remotely stable environment to raise a kid in, especially if the husband isn't the father. But what do I know? I only wrote an essay discussing the family models and their pros and cons. I'm only a student of psychology, a big part of which is about studying the impact of nurture on the development of the individual. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Even after the girlfriend returned to her husband, Farrell said they remained friends. He said he went with her to her obstetrician appointments where genetic testing proved he was the baby's father. He said he paid some of the doctor's bills and offered to help her outfit a nursery. He even reached out to her husband. I offered to take him out golfing or out fishing because we were going to be raising a son together, Farrell said. He didn't want anything to do with me. He said he isn't trying to break up the marriage, he just wants to see his child. That happened once.
Honestly, this guy sounds like a really attentive father figure, someone who would genuinely love and care for his child and cherish every moment he spent with him. You really want to take someone like that out of the picture?
After the girlfriend cut ties with him, he put his name on the state's punitive father registry so he would be notified of the birth. After the notice arrived on state letterhead, he repeatedly texted her, begging to see the child. She finally agreed. Roughly 6 weeks after the boy was born, the girlfriend, who also lives in Loxahatch, told him to meet her on a street near their homes. For roughly 30 amazing minutes, Farrell said. He stood on a sidewalk and cradled his son. Tears ran down his face. Hope burned, but that was it.
It's not like this guy was some creepy stalker person. He's just a guy who wanted to see his kid for the first time, mind you, so why does it take an arm and a leg to be able to do that? Oh, right. Because the baby mama, for some reason, has all of the custodial rights to the kid, despite having half of the genetic claim to the kid. You know, if this baby were a dog, it would have a better chance at seeing both the woman and the man, at least in the case of Bennett versus Bennett. Another Pride and Prejudice reference in one video will hit me with a lifted truck and call me unlucky roadkill. From what I can discern from the litigious jargon, which is difficult because I'm not a lawyer, and no, it should seem like it would be easy because it's all English, but you'd be very wrong. I had to ask a few people about this, actually, and they both gave me different answers, so. According to one of the people that I asked, the initial decision by the lower courts was that both owners, the one who owned the dog prior to the marriage and the one who married into this and husband situation, got to chill with their dog Roddy in the divorce. That is to say, the guy got custody, the woman got visitation. Catherine shall have visitation every other month, beginning October 1st, 1993. The visitation shall be on the first day of the month and end on the last day of the month. That was the initial decision. So she got visitation of a dog. Even though technically she shouldn't have, as dogs are viewed as property in Florida law, it would have been like getting visitation to your couch. You see, it's not that hard to award visitation rights. Dog owners, who apparently weren't even the initial owners of the dog, get them. Why not the fathers then? Why do fathers not get visitation rights of their kids? That's just crazy to me. Get your shit together, Florida. God damn it. Make it happen, Florida. Let Farrell be a father to his kid. Chop, chop. I'm getting old waiting. I'm starting to grow face whiskers, I think. No, that might just be breakfast. Hustle before my teeth fall out, please and thank you.
The way she was leading me on, I thought I was going to be a father, Farrell said. I thought if I went before a judge, she would give me 40 to 50% visitation rights. Then I thought I wasn't going to get anything, and that's where I am now. The harsh truth came in June when the judge rejected his petition for paternity and threw out the case.
Here is where the bigger issue is presented to us, because it depicts a real systemic problem in our family courts. Granted, this case is specific to and adheres to Florida law, but it is clearly not the only one of its kind, and the generality of the issue is not an issue segregated to Florida. It's one of those feminist talking points that's discussed, but they've never really seemed to mobilize to combat it in Western society. I mean, even Big Red, the original Big Red, was talking about it when she was going on and on about the patriarchy.
You obviously can't like.
So, number one, shut the fuck up for a second. Feminists do not want you to lose custody of your children. The assumption that women are naturally better caregivers is part of patriarchy.
Blatant sexism of the court systems in child custody disputes. That's what I'm talking about. On average, men lose custody in 84% of divorces. Granted, this isn't a divorce, but it brings about a very real systemic issue, and that is that fathers don't get to be fathers of their kids for some reason. Why? Because the mothers are the ones that give birth? Or is it because they're females and they're supposed to be more nurturing?
Shut the fuck up for a second!
More nurturing.
About 5 of every 6 custodial parents are mothers, 84.4%, and 1 in 6 were fathers, 15.6%. Proportion statistically unchanged since 1994. That means that it's been a long-ass time that this has been an issue. And it needs to be corrected, honestly.
Where the paternity of a child born to an existing marriage has been so acknowledged, and where the husband and the wife have decided to raise the child of the marriage and to accept all the rights and responsibilities of parenthood, a man who may have contributed his DNA to a child has no statutory or constitutional rights to intrude into the private decision, Judge Miller wrote.
So for those of you who don't understand, basically in layman's terms, if your dick created the child, the most you will ever be to that kid is its sperm donor. And if that's not actually some horrible instance of objectification, like if a Playboy bunny on a magazine all sexy like is more egregious than this, then I don't know what to tell you, man. It's just, okay. The difference here being that in the case of the woman, she made that choice to be photographed for men's enjoyment, whereas the man, he didn't make the choice to just play the part of a sperm donor. He wanted to be a father. But now you've relegated his position in this child's life to a role a turkey baster could just as easily have played. Shame on you.
Ron Wiseman said she expected Miller's decision. Her point was to challenge the law and hope that an appellate court will accept her arguments, setting the stage for the Florida Supreme Court to reverse the long-established rules that she believes are crucial to biological fathers.
Well, it's certainly a start, and I commend Miller on this act, but it's like an uphill battle, which is kind of shitty, to be honest.
But her legal maneuver could come at a great cost, because the law has existed for more than 23 years. Attorney Christopher Jett, who represents the girlfriend and her husband, claims it was a frivolous lawsuit.
A frivolous lawsuit. You son of a juicy elephant turd maggot. What the fuck? This case was to award a father the right to see his child. It is by no means frivolous.
On Monday, he asked Miller to order Brown Wiseman to pay thousands of dollars he is owed for fighting litigation that he claims never should have been filed in the first place. While Miller is still deciding what to do, Brown Wiseman said she could be socked with a $40,000 bill.
Honestly, I feel like we should do something, like maybe a GoFundMe, if this goes the direction of sideways up a donkey's bumhole. But seriously, you have to be heartless to view a case like this as frivolous and litigation that should never have been filed in the first place. What? I'm sorry, what?
It would be a double whammy. While family members have helped Pharrell with legal bills, working as an air conditioning repairman, he has been unable to pay many of the expenses Brown Wiseman has incurred. He has launched a GoFundMe.com account in hopes of raising money for his legal fees.
It's settled. Hashtag help Pharrell see his kid. Link to the GoFundMe in the description if you feel a need to help this brother out. I mean, come on. Let's set a precedent of our own. That this is bullshit and it will not stand. Let us make a difference.
The West Palm Beach family law attorney said that there is a likelihood Miller will order Brown Wiseman to pay Jett's bills because the law is so entrenched. While she was the chair of the Florida Bar Family Law Section from 3 years ago, research was done to find ways to change that, but she said there are no easy answers. In 1999, a Florida judge wrote a law review article hoping to draw attention to the inquiries in the law. He even authored proposed legislation that would give biological fathers up to 2 years to file a petition, asking for permission to support a child that was born to a woman who is already married. The petition could allow him to be awarded visitation. His proposal went nowhere.
1999. So it's been 18 years. 18 whole years. Almost my entire life. Why did I need a calculator for that? Oh, right. Women can't do math. Fuck. Anyways, 18 whole fucking years. There have been world wars fought and resolved in less time. You bastards. Get your shit together, Florida. Come on.
Roy said she hoped that a solution could be found. In the meantime, she said she tried to get couples to negotiate. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Brown Wiseman remains hopeful that the 4th District Court of Appeal and eventually the Florida Supreme Court will recognize that the law is unfair. But she acknowledged time is working against Pharrell. His son is now 16 months old. The longer the battle takes, the harder it will be to build a relationship with his son.
If I'm being totally honest, my parents could work out their shit for like 12 whole years. It is entirely possible that this could get drawn out a long-ass time, especially if one of the parents is unwilling to negotiate and compromise. Of course, It could also go the other direction, but honestly, from where we sit, it doesn't look like it's going to, which kind of sucks, which is again why we need to set a different precedent.
For Pharrell, the pain is ever present. I was driving behind her on the way to work the other day, knowing that my son is in that vehicle and that I don't get to see him, he said.
And that's where this article ends. I'm peeved more or less, but I can't say that I'm surprised. Custody disputes are always rather ugly, not just in my personal experience, but across the board, generally. I mean, it's between two people fighting over someone that they love to be in their life. It's kind of sad. I mean, I get where the mom is coming from. She wants to have a good home and life for her kid, unobstructed by weird family shenanigans. But what's she gonna tell her kid when the kid's grown up? Oh yeah, I inhibited your biological father from ever being in your entire life. So this is no one wins in this situation except for the kid. Like, the kid gets two dads, and I can tell you, two dads are way cooler in my experience. If you guys have any news articles, videos, or anecdotes that you guys think would fit with this hashtag Everything is Sexist series, then feel free to email me at weebo0jones@gmail.com with the subject line hashtag Everything is Sexist, or at me on Minds or on Twitter at WeeboJones with that hashtag Everything is Sexist. By the way, I just realized that I still have yet to name this character, who, for all 300 of you guys who were there when I put out the video, the parody video, that was a feminist movie review for the movie Logan. Go check that out if you're interested in, masochism. I've been referring to this character as Big Red for the moment, but since she will be making reoccurring appearances on this channel sporadically, on a whim, my whim, not hers, if you guys have any suggestions for a name, what to do in the comments section. If I get enough suggestions, I'll pick my top 4 favorites, and then we can vote on them. It'd be interesting.